once again.
Hello. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of rest, restoration, and repair, which is all done through amazing restorative sleep. Okay. And I know a lot of us are not getting enough. I know our bodies are resting while we're sleeping, but there is so much going on when we're sleeping when it comes to repair, restoration, cell damage, repair. There's autophagy that happens, there's detoxing that happens. So we need adequate amounts of sleep, but also good quality sleep as well. So a good indication is that you should really feel refreshed when you wake up, and if you don't, then that means you didn't have a really good night's sleep. So let's go into some tricks and tips on how to get the best night's sleep. Thank you for joining me. My name is Rita Savoya. I'm a holistic nutritionist and a wellness coach and a workplace wellness consultant. Let's get to the presentation. As you know, I'm very visual, so I want to give you guys some images so that you'll be able to better understand and also remember and retain some of this information. So look at this lovely picture, okay, of this beautiful, I don't know where this is, but it can be anywhere in the world. But I want you to reflect on this. When you go on vacation, how quickly do you feel better? Many people say that they feel better almost instantaneously when they go on vacation. And it's a very simple question, but the answer is so eye-opening because most people have this profound realization that, hey, the problem is not with my body. The problem may just be with my environment. So it really helps us to gain some insights into what's really going on. Because when we get back from vacation, we're still feeling pretty good. We're still feeling the benefits of the sun and the sand and just the relaxation, right? So we're still feeling all of those effects, right? So until probably maybe 2 weeks later or a week later, when things start getting busy again and we start adding stuff to our plate and we stop prioritizing rest and recovery, right? Am I right? So then we start feeling terrible again. So look, I know it's hard to replicate the vacation experience to the T, but we can create some of those elements in our environment that we have in our vacation in our day-to-day lives. I promise you can, right? So today I invite you to reflect on how do you neglect your sleep and your rest and recovery? One of the most important topics ever that we'll talk about is sleep. And it's actually one of my 6 pillars, right? Sleep is sacred. So my mission today is to help you shift this thinking away from I will sleep when I die and really invite you to prioritize sleep and honor your body. So look, the research shows 95% of Americans experience some sort of sleep disorder in their lives. 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 2 seniors have a chronic insomnia issue. On a worldwide scale, stats show that we are sleeping 20% less than we did 100 years ago. Few people realize just how debilitating sleep deprivation can be. When we lack sleep, we miss out on so many of those nourishing and restorative processes that I spoke about earlier that actually keep us healthy, causing psychological issues like lowering performance, slowed reaction time, risk of depression and anxiety disorder, poor immune system function, high blood pressure, risk of cardiovascular disease, and even diabetes. And closer to home, causing you to become overweight or obese. Yeah, sleep is a big deal, right? This is a real epidemic that nobody's really talking about. Now, there are obviously many culprits to blame, like stress, for sure. But I also think that, and that's why I love this picture, the rushing woman syndrome. And honestly, I'm sure a lot of men feel like this too, that they're going. But I love this. She's even on a yoga mat, right? But all kidding aside, the book from Dr. Libby Weaver called The Rushing Woman Syndrome speaks about this phenomena where, she explains that never before have women been in such a hurry to do so many things and are there for so many people. So the pace of modern life has drastically increased. But even though our minds can go faster and technologies allow us to get more done, our bodies are still that cave woman and caveman biology. So which means that they cannot respond healthily to the new and constant pressures we experience, right? Check out this book. It's really awesome. She explains how a stressful, fast-paced lifestyle can have dangerous effects on all areas of a woman's health, including nervous system, adrenal glands, reproductive, digestive systems, and on the emotional level, which not only is disrupting your sleep, but definitely contributing to your weight gain or the inability to burn that stubborn fat. So studies show that we can we cannot truly multitask when it comes to highly automatic behavior. Apologies. We can only multitask when it comes to highly automatic behaviors like walking. However, activities that involve conscious attention, what we're doing is not multitasking, is task switching, and oftentimes with less accuracy and focus. And I can totally attest to that. So I invite you to consider, is your multitasking that you do throughout the day and the many roles you juggle, is it affecting your health? Chances are it probably is. So one of the first things when it comes to getting a good night's sleep is actually starting with a positive morning routine. So it actually starts in the morning, getting sunlight exposure. That's one of the actual items on my to-do list on the morning routine that you can download from my website. Getting sunlight first thing in the morning actually is super important when it comes to resetting your body's internal clock, telling your body, hey, it's time to wake up. This is called your circadian rhythm, that natural wake and sleep cycle that our bodies go through. So if it does have to be natural outdoor lighting, an interesting fact that if you're in a brightly lit room indoors, you only get about 15 units of light. If you want to go outside and it's even a cloudy day, you get about 15,000 units of light. So if it's a super beautiful sunny day outside, you get up to 50,000 units of light. So please get outside any time of the day, even if it's cloudy. This is super important because it really helps to establish your body's internal clock, that circadian rhythm I talked about, and really signals your body what time of day it is. And it helps us to also balance our hormones. So here's an easy tip, right? Get a few minutes of sunlight exposure first thing in the morning, even if you're just sitting outside, sipping on your morning tea or coffee. It's going to be so beneficial for you to get that natural sunlight exposure. So light has always been linked to sleep patterns and how it affects our circadian rhythm, often referred to as our circadian rhythm or our internal clock. Our brain cycles through sleepiness and alertness throughout the day at regular intervals. Typically, these cycles mimic a clock and change based on the time of day. The rising and setting of the sun largely influences our circadian rhythm based on the level of sunlight that reaches our eyes. This triggers a hormone to be released called melatonin. Our melatonin levels are regularly regulated by our pineal gland, which operates based on the circadian rhythm of our body. So as the sunlight fades, the production of melatonin in your body increases. Our melatonin levels peak in the middle of the night while we're asleep, and they begin to fall as morning approaches, right? This beautiful orchestrated wake and sleep cycle. So research has shown that bright light, especially blue light emitted from the electronic devices, actually delays this production of melatonin. It confuses the pineal gland that actually makes melatonin, right? This artificial light or blue light mimics sunlight and can affect our sleep cycle if exposed before bedtime. So sunlight or blue light triggers the brain to delay the production of melatonin until later, as our body associates the light with daylight. This can offset our sleep patterns and can rouse our body to be alert in this alert state, as the pineal gland will be delayed in producing melatonin. That's why you feel wired if you're watching TV or scrolling through your phone, right? And you can't get to sleep. One way to avoid disturbing sleep patterns and circadian cycles is to avoid this bright light before bed. Turning off all electronics and retreating to a darker environment later in the day can naturally prepare your body for a relaxed sleep-like state. This not only prepares your body for sleep, but it encourages overall wellness. Having a healthy sleep cycle can boost your mood and even your immune system, make it stronger, and of course, helps with weight loss. So what do? We actually can limit. I like my 3-2-1 rule. Okay. So avoid food 3 hours before bed, avoid work 2 hours before bed, and then avoid this blue light 1 hour before bed. And also another good tip is to use lamps with warmer bulbs as opposed to overhead lighting. Try it out and see how you feel. I know it sounds crazy, but try it out and see if you get a better night's sleep if you don't actually look at your phone or a television or whatever, watch Netflix an hour before your bed, right? So again, when it comes to lighting, the direction of lighting is just as important as the type of lighting. The direction of light is important because in the evening, once the sun goes down, if we have a lot of overhead lighting, which is lighting above, coming from above, it actually mimics the sun, right? Which makes sense. So because you're actually outside during the day, the sun is shining on us from above, right? So when we have overhead lighting, this tricks our brain into thinking that it's still daytime. And that's why we really encourage you to use lamps with warmer bulbs or those salt lamps with a more yellowish bulb, right? If you really want to take your health to the next level, you can use red light bulbs because they really minimize blue light. Okay, so in the evening, we want to decrease or minimize overhead lighting, and we want to use more lamps, so more yellow, red, warmer tones, right? And an interesting fact is that if you have an overhead lighting and your regular LED blue light emitting whitish bulbs, those actually decrease melatonin production by 40%. Wow. Whereas if you were to use natural candlelight, which is super romantic, right? Or fire, it only reduces it by 2 to 5%. So again, to summarize, the temperature and direction is super important of lighting. We want horizontal, not vertical direction of light in the evening and more yellow, red, and warmer tones. Here's a quick story. When I was in Nicaragua back in 2019, this city girl was waking up with the sun and the rooster and going to sleep with the sun, feeling so rested in the morning. But once I returned to the city, I went back to feeling unrested and tired and grumpy because I couldn't get to sleep. And maybe because I was scrolling on Instagram or watching Netflix right before calling it a night in Nicaragua, which is a very rural area with minimal artificial lighting, and the Wi-Fi was so unstable, so my circadian rhythm was actually working its magic. My sleep and wake patterns were optimized. As soon as the sun set and darkness arrived, my pineal gland got a signal to produce melatonin, allowing me to fall asleep and have such a restorative sleep. But I understand some of us need to be on our screens, whether on our laptops or watching a movie in the evening, just to sort of, relax and just like let go of the day. So what I do recommend is wearing blue blocker glasses. These amber tinted glasses and blue light filters block up, depending on the glasses, about 99% of the blue light. Using them about 2 hours or so before bed can drastically increase melatonin production and keep your body regulated. I usually wear mine as soon as the sun goes down and really feel the difference when I don't. So they really help me sleep for sure. If you're wearing prescription glasses, you can actually get these blue light lenses on your prescription glasses as well to limit the blue light exposure. And I also recommend putting these blue light filters built into either your cell phone or your actual laptop. So there is a really cool one that I use, and it's called Just Get Flux. So, and it basically, it's so cool. It basically matches your indoor lighting. So it's available on your laptop or your computer. I'm not sure if it's available on your phone. So it's called justgetflux.com. Okay, so I highly recommend getting to bed between 10 and 10:30 and getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep on a night, right? Because a lot of stuff happens during the night. So between 10 and 2 a.m., this is when the body starts to release the most amount of growth hormone. And remember, growth hormone is required to increase metabolism and burn fat. That's also when the liver is doing most of its detoxing, which is super important to get rid of those toxins, right? So we really want to make sure that we're getting a really good night's sleep and getting to sleep as early as possible, right? However, studies have shown that when we are sleep deprived, guess what happens? It contributes to snacking more, and cravings the next day. We actually tend to eat more when we don't get a good night's sleep. I get this all the time. I just want to eat whatever's in front of me, right? And usually I go for the carbs as well when I don't sleep well. So sleep deprivation also affects our brain function, causing us to have more negative emotions, more unhelpful decision making, right? It is also shown to cause poor memory and many other issues that are on this slide. So we really want to make sure we prioritize sleep. And it's honestly one of the best ways to show self-care to yourself. Just get to bed earlier, please. All right. So we know how important sleep is, right? But I want to bring to your attention that for some of us, it may not be very beneficial for us to get to bed at a certain time, right? We're just used to maybe being more night owls, as the saying goes. But there was some really interesting research that was done by Michael Brewis. And he's come up with these, and he's actually written the book, The Power of When. So discovering what your chronotype is. And your chronotype is, according to his research, is actually can actually dictate the best time to eat lunch, the best time to have sex, the best time to ask for a raise, write a novel, take your meds, and more. Read the book. It's super, super interesting. And believe it or not, according to his research, our body has been programmed to function much better at certain times of the day than others. So based on your general morningness and eveningness preferences, different people fall into these different classifications called chronotypes. So there are 4 chronotypes: dolphin, lion, bear, and wolf. And most people fit into the bear category, which I do as well. And each chronotype will reveal exactly what you need to do to work with your body and not against it. So to better understand your biological programming and discover your chronotype, you can actually take the quiz. You can get it online, right? And at chronoquiz.com to find out more. Check it out. I totally recommend it. So here are some great tips on how to optimize sleep. You want to sleep in complete darkness. So if you don't have blackout curtains, sleep with an eye mask. You want to make sure that you stick your hand in front of you and you can't see it, right? That's how dark it needs to be. When it comes to temperature, a cool environment is way better. If it's too hot, you're going to get restless and have a poor quality sleep. Sleeping as naked as possible has also been shown to have some amazing benefits. So you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to ensure that your cell phone is not in the same room that you're sleeping in, and if it is because it's your alarm clock, then put it on airplane mode, and make sure you don't have any other electronics in the room as well. So I know that like tiny annoying red power light from a lot of the electronics, it can actually disrupt your melatonin production as well. So you want it to be as cool, as dark as possible. One cool thing I started doing is shutting off the Wi-Fi. So you can even put a timer on some of these Wi-Fi routers nowadays. So check that out too, because you want to also mitigate the amount of non-native EMFs, right? Electromagnetic frequencies, and also like actually try to mitigate that too. So by turning off your Wi-Fi is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself. All right. So as always, I always tell my clients as well, is just a morning routine is just as important as a bedtime routine. So having a bedtime routine is so crucial, right? Sometimes we want to sit in front of the TV and just veg and start snacking with a vengeance. Why? Because when we're consuming a television program, we're going to want to consume other things. And usually it's, an unhealthy snack. So of course, I really, really do recommend doing other things, like maybe perhaps playing some board games with your kids, or reading a book, right? Or just chatting or making some love with your partner, right? So, but oftentimes a lot of us will go into this beautiful, relaxing bath, right? That you can take. So that's really cool as well. And you can obviously do some meditation in there, some breath work, right? But I just want to say that this could also be a great bedtime routine. It doesn't always have to be this lavish bath with these beautiful candles and, you know, everything else that we see. This can also, because that could be too much work, this can also be a really cool bedtime routine, right? So just make a sincere attempt this evening and the following evenings to shift your evening and bedtime routine so that it's a routine that leaves you away from screens. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking this time, these, you know, few minutes to actually listen to my conversation about sleep and how important sleep is. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing tips, and I can't wait to see you again. Ciao for now.